Released by Namco in 1997 on the PlayStation, Tales of Destiny would be the second Mothership title in the Tales of series. Written by Kazuya Ishizuka, the game would refine its signature real-time 2D action battle system, as well as release a Japan-exclusive Director's Cut remake on the PlayStation 2 with overhauled gameplay, new story events, and additional playable character. The story only gets larger from here, so let's cut it down to size with a recapitation. As the game begins, a young swordsman named Stan is caught stowing away on the airship Draconis, but the captain and crew suspect him of being a thief after a particular precious cargo. After interrogating him and finding out he's just a simple country boy and a stowaway, the crew puts Stan to work doing chores, while at the same time a horde of barbarians assault the ship. As they slaughter the crew, Stan flees in search of a weapon, entering the storeroom and finding a shining sword in the darkness. Picking it up, the sword speaks to Stan, introducing itself as Dimlos, the Swordian, empowering the novice warrior with magic and declaring he has been chosen as its master. As the sole survivor of the Draconis, Stan takes an escape pod as the ship crashes, dropping into a frozen lake and passing out after crawling away. When he wakes up, he is met by Gar, a traveler who found and rescued him, telling him he is in the kingdom of Pandaria. Somehow, Gar is aware of Dimlos' sentience as he introduces Stan to Master Archer Alba, and Stan repays the favor by helping search for Alba's granddaughter, Chelsea, in the wintry woods. Stan mentions he was originally on his way to Darrelshade, the capital of Singal Kingdom, and Alba says he'll need to pass through the nearby border town to get there. Gar guides Stan there, splitting off to visit his father nearby as Dimlos finds the hunter awfully suspicious. Unfortunately, Stan isn't permitted to cross the border without a passport, and while thinking of what to do, he runs into a girl named Mary who asks for his help rescuing her friend trapped in nearby ruins. Teaming up, they venture inside to find Mary's friend Ruti stuck in a magic trap, though Stan bumbles into the same trap himself, annoying Ruti. Mary helps sort things out, but the group is approached by soldiers who attack immediately, and after the trio work together, Ruti finds herself impressed by Stan's strength. Returning to town, Stan obtains a passport, and while they rest, Ruti talks more to Stan, learning he is a good-natured but simple country boy, but more than that, reveals she too has a sentient weapon. Stan can understand her blade Atwhite when it speaks, as it recognizes Dimlos, stating it is a Swordian too. Atwhite adds Stan wasn't really chosen in any grand sense, so much as easy to work with for Dimlos, who admits this is true, and Ruti invites the wandering warrior to travel with her for now. Mary mentions she has amnesia, and the only memory she has is after she met Ruti, as the two girls exchange something called lens for money. Lens are a type of energy-generating device, named as such for their small round shape. A corporation called Oberon buys lens to be used as an energy source for their products. No one exactly knows the origins of lens or even their precise scientific properties, and the popular theory is that they are relics from an ancient civilization. Reason being is that they are usually found inside ancient ruins and the monsters that inhabit them, and so are a source of income for lens hunters like Ruti and Mary. Moving on, Ruti leads the group to their next job, making a delivery to a nobleman, where Ruti shows she is particularly ruthless when it comes to money. They are met by the three soldiers who attacked them earlier, who explain they are from the Singaldian army protecting the ruin they robbed, as the group resists arrest. However, a swordsman named Leon easily defeats them, commenting that Stan and Ruti have poor Swordian skills, revealing his own Swordian, Shaltier. Dimlos recognizes Shaltier as a comrade during the ancient war, as the Swordian boasts Leon is the strongest swordsman in the Singal Kingdom. The group is taken to Darrelshade and brought before the king, where the royal advisor Hugo points out they are Swordian masters. As such, he says they may serve some use, suggesting they be sent to Strelai's temple and attaching a lethal shock collar to them so they don't run away. The king hesitates, mentioning the Eye of Adamoni, a doomsday weapon from the ancient Ether Wars, is buried beneath Strelai's temple. Hugo reveals to the group he is also the president of Oberon Corporation and volunteers Leon to oversee them for the mission. In exchange for their lives, the group is tasked to inspect the temple and if something is wrong, put a stop to it. Finding a familiar children's tale, the group later meets with Hugo, who tells them that 6 Swordians once saved the world in the ancient Ether Wars 1,000 years ago, and Dimlos confirms this. Though he is irritable to everyone else, to the side, Leon is very polite to and fond of one of Hugo's maids named Marion, who calls him by his true name Emilio in private. Traveling to the Holy Temple, the group finds many of the clergy as well as the Archbishop dead, part of the temple destroyed, and the Eye of Adamoni missing. They find a petrified priestess named Philia nearby, who is the apprentice to Lydon, the high priest who killed the Archbishop. They restore her as she confirms Lydon stole the Eye of Adamoni, and the Swordians panic, explaining the relic is a giant lens with enough power to destroy the world. Leon tells them the mission has changed and they are now to pursue Lydon and the Eye, as Philia wishes to join the group and confront her master. Given the lens is 20 feet wide, it cannot be easily hidden as they ask around and find a lead of some precious cargo bound for Calvalis. Leon knows the Oberon employee in charge of that territory as the group charters a vessel across the sea, though they cross the path of a powerful sea dragon that seems beyond their ability to defeat. Philia steps forward, hearing it call out to her and inviting the group to go with it. The sea dragon takes them to an undersea ruin where the group sees the architecture as nothing like modern cities, as Philia follows the voice deeper into the ruins. Finding a sword that calls Philia out by name, Chaltier recognizes it as another swordian named Clemente, who says it woke up in response to the eye being stolen. Accepting Clemente's offer of power, Philia becomes a new master as they return to the ship and complete their trip to the port town of Calvalis. Heading to the philanthropic Oberon branch manager Baruch, he tells the group he doesn't know anything about the eye, though their investigation finds the eye was delivered to another Strelized temple in the capital Calviola. Along the way, they learn most of Calvalis is desert wasteland and where all Etherians were forced to settle as punishment for losing the ancient war. Arriving at the temple, the group sneaks around the priests that act strangely and attack them, finding they are agents of Lydon who have locked up the real priests of the temple. Cutting past the corrupt clergy, they learn the eye was taken again by Lydon and the heretics view themselves as chosen ones that will inherit the world after Lydon takes over the world with his monster army. The heretics reveal that lens can also be used to create monsters, and so Oberon cargo ships have been raided for their lens, which are then used to produce monsters while also disrupting the industry and finance of nations like Seingald. Hearing Lydon is headed to Fitzgald next, they defeat the heretics and head there immediately, where the Oberon branch manager of that area is a woman named Eileen in Neustadt City. After pushing around boxes in a storage room for prizes, the group approaches Eileen, offering to act as decoys and catch some pirates in the act of looting their cargo ships. She gives them a chance as the group is indeed attacked on the open seas who fend off the raiders and discover they are being led by another priest under Lydon named Batista. Subduing him, they take Batista back to port where Leon begins interrogating him and Eileen takes Stan on a date and personal tour of the city. A jealous Ruti tails Stan as their date ends up at the arena watching a Bruiser Kang match. Eileen takes Stan to meet the champ, but seeing how Ruti is to both of them, Stan challenges the champ to a fight but is easily beaten. Eileen forces an apology out of Bruiser as she thanks Stan for the date, though as they check in on Leon getting no progress with Batista, even with a shock collar, that night the priest makes his escape. Leon tells them he allowed Batista to escape, tracking him through the collar and thinking he'll lead them to Lydon, and right now he is getting a signal from Aquavale, a country currently hostile to Seingald. On the way there, Leon elaborates that Aquavale is made up of several islands that broke away from Seingald and became an independent country, still in a cold war with Seingald. They also learn one of the island lords died and was replaced by Batista, who has thrown the island of Moreau into chaos. With the low tide, they enter an undersea tunnel that leads to Moreau, finding Batista openly corrupting the soldiers and imprisoning anyone who openly suspects him of assassinating the previous lord. Saving some citizens from being brutalized by guards, the group finds themselves on the run, though they avoid capture thanks to a laid-back bard named Carol, who also seems to know a lot about the group in particular. Leon doesn't trust him, but the bard proposes working together to take out Batista as his friend has been captured by him as well. Helping them sneak in, it turns out Carol's friend Fate is the next rightful ruler of Moreau as they catch up to and confront Batista. Philia reminds Batista how long they have known each other, and the sincerity of her words to be more honest with himself manages to make the priest hesitate and second-guess himself. He gives them the key to Fate, and while he does not share where Lydon is, he does force his shock collar off, which kills him. Rescuing Fate, he reveals the king of Aquavale, Tiberius, made a secret pact with Lydon to orchestrate an invasion of Seingald. Fate's father opposed the plan and was killed for it, replaced by Batista, and Leon decides to assassinate King Tiberius for the sake of national security. Carol adds he has a score to settle with Tiberius too, saying Lydon is likely with the king and the capital with the eye. Sailing to the capital of Aquavale, they defeat a kraken along the way and sneak into the king's castle, confronting both Tiberius and Lydon. Lydon orders Tiberius to attack, but the king is quickly struck down by the group as Lydon gets away on the Draconis. With his dying breath, Tiberius reveals Lydon is headed towards Pandaria and laughs that Seingald is still doomed. Leon retorts by ending the life of the king, and Carol is glad to see his revenge fulfilled. As thanks, Fate arranges transportation for the group to Pandaria, and Carol says he will be staying behind and helping fix the country. As they return to the frozen land, they see it already under Lydon's influence, breaking past the invading fleet and landing in Frostheim. Stan spots Gar fall to some of Lydon's soldiers and hurries to rescue him as the hunter reports that Lydon has attacked the nation with the eye and taken over Heidelberg Castle. Clemente senses something about Gar, asking if he is royalty or another Swordian user, and Gar confesses he is the prince of Pandaria and could also hear Dimlos before, explaining his Swordian Ictinos fell into enemy hands. After recovering, Gar joins the group and guides them across the harsh Vandarian drifts, giving Stan a relic called the Sorcerer's Ring that uses lens energy to fire beams of light that can melt ice. Entering the town of Cyril, Mary is shocked and begins to recall that she used to live here. Though she even finds her old home and finds some of her memories returning, it is still not enough. As the group approaches the castle, they are turned away by a man that Mary also recognizes, showing him a sword that he is shocked to see and remembering his name is Dallas. Dallas takes Mary away as the group follows and listens in on how Mary is actually Dallas's wife. However, he has been brainwashed thinking Mary was dead for defying Lydon and has been loyal to Lydon since. Mary, now remembering everything, tells him how they met and their life together and how when the town was destroyed by an enemy years ago, he saved her life and also wiped her memories to spare her the pain of the past. Dallas struggles as his true memories fight to resurface, but in his confusion he attacks the group and they are forced to subdue him. Taking an injured Dallas away before reinforcements arrive, Gar leads them to a secret tunnel that connects to the castle. A member of the Royal Guard recognizes Gar and leads them to a safe house where Dallas is healed up by Ruti, and she insists Mary stay with him while he recovers. Mary agrees, leaving the group as the rest continue to the castle, finally confronting Lydon, who stands before the Eye. They clash, and though the group shows they can hold their own against the High Priest, Lydon chooses to tap into the Eye for more power. However, the Eye proves too much for Lydon to handle as it destroys him, leaving Gar's Igtinos behind. Dimlos says it isn't over as the Eye seems like it's going to explode, and Leon quickly hands them special discs to install on their swords and directs them to seal the Eye with their Swordians thanks to Oberon technology. Succeeding, the group contains the Eye, preventing a disaster, and Leon says all they need to do now is return this back to Seingald and the group will be freed. Gar pauses them, pointing out that the Eye is too powerful to be trusted to any one person and instead should be destroyed here and now. Unfortunately, the group is reluctant to help while still prisoners, and Gar and Igtinos are not enough, so the prince declares he will at least accompany the Eye back to appraise the king himself. They take Lydon's Draconis and use it to fly the Eye back, and on the way, Ruti finds herself missing Mary, and shares with Stan that her reason for becoming a lens hunter is to acquire money to save people she cares about. Returning to the king, he thanks the group, but Gar steps forward introducing himself and explaining the devastation the Eye brought to his country and others, asking what the king intends to do with the Eye. The king understands, replying it will be sealed underground again, but Gar demands this in writing as well as an alliance of their kingdoms. The king also asks Stan to return Dimlos to the kingdom and points out the Swordians have gone dormant because the threat of the Eye has been taken care of, so it's fine. Their shock collars removed now, the group is freed as Stan gives Ruti all of his reward money to help her out, having gained far more value in his journey around the world. Their mission accomplished, the group parts ways and returns to their lives as Stan returns home to his humble village as an unsung hero. Time passes until one day Philia arrives with news that the Eye of Adamonia is missing again and the king has requested they find it again. Stan is granted possession of Dimlos, who has awakened once more, and as they travel to collect the other Swordian users, Clemente points out it's not true they only wake up during times of crisis. The truth is they were forced to sleep thanks to the aura discs Leon had them install onto the swords when the Eye went out of control, which made them powerless. As for his friends, Gar is formerly king of Pandaria now, and it turns out the people Ruti was earning money for were the children in the orphanage she grew up in. Returning to Seingald, the king explains that not only is the Eye missing, but so too are Hugo, Leon, and the Draconis, suspecting their betrayal. Gar points out the king said the Eye was going to be sealed underground and that did not happen, upset at the king's costly incompetence and trust in his advisor. They learn of a lead that points to an abandoned Oberon factory that turns out to be fully operational and staffed when they check it out. Taking an elevator down, at the same time, Hugo has taken Marion hostage to force Leon's cooperation. As the group arrives, Leon tells them Hugo has planned everything since the beginning, having the group recover the Eye from Lydon and deliver it to him. Admitting he is being used too, Leon calls out Ruti, saying she wouldn't understand as she was already abandoned by Hugo. Elaborating, Leon knows she was left at White from her mother because he is Hugo's son and Ruti is Hugo's daughter. Exposing that he is her long-lost brother, he dares her to kill him now, saying he will kill anyone to protect Marion. Clashing with the group, they are now able to hold their own as they defeat him in a duel. Suddenly, the ground rumbles as Leon claims the countdown to the end has begun, while underground water breaks in to sweep away the group and Leon slumps over and dies while saying farewell to Marion. The group is washed away next to the Draconis, which they used to flee the island and observe it sinking from afar. Now, rising from the sea in its place is a huge landmass that flies high into the sky that Dimlos calls the Aeropolis that hovers above Darrelshade and shoots down a beam that makes a huge crater north of the city. At the same time, in the atmosphere, several pieces of land connect to each other, forming a web-like shell as Dimlos calls the weapon of mass destruction Belkrant, a relic of the Ether Wars. Atwhite adds the Belkrant is located in the Aeropolis capital Dycroft, which is powered by the Eye, also mentioning the Aeropolis was not like this in the past and might have evolved. Dimlos now shares that at the end of the Ancient War, the Swordians were given a mission to destroy the Eye so Dycroft could never be restored. Dimlos admits they all kept the group in the dark about their true purpose, though Leon was aware and managed to thwart them. Regardless, until stopped, Belkrant will destroy the surface. Trying to reach the Aeropolis, the Draconis is unable to, losing power as it strains itself and crash lands. The Swordians say they ran into the same problem in the last war too, and solved it by raising a massive ship called Radisral up into the sky, allowing them to enter Dycroft. Radisral was the headquarters for the other faction in the Ether Wars, the Earther, and is the sunken city Clemente was found in. Seeking out the Sea Dragon again at the Demon Reef, they return to Radisral as it has already awakened in response to Dycroft and navigate back to the control room. A monitor appears with a person Clemente recognizes as Commander Riker of the Earther Forces, or at least the copy of his personality stored in Core Crystal. Riker acknowledges Shaltier was destroyed in the battle with Leon, their former champion Berselius is gone, and Ictinos was damaged by the Eye earlier but can be repaired, explaining Swordians can die if their Core Crystal is destroyed. In order to raise Radisral, they also need to reactivate its main propulsion system. For this, he asks for a non-Swordian assistant to work the control room with him, giving them a horn that can summon the Sea Dragon Bernardo freely. As they search for an assistant, they consider visiting Carol, and later Ston redeems himself in the arena, defeating Bruiser Kang and inspiring the former champ to join the group. Gar also spots Chelsea being a handful in his court as she joins as well to make less trouble for others. In a town called Junkland, built on a landfill caused by garbage dumping from ancient flying cities, the group meets an expert on ancient technology there, recruiting him for their cause. As they retrieve a boot disc needed for Radisral, they hear Belkrant fire off again, destroying more of the surface, hurrying to finalize preparations. Lifting off, the Radisral reaches the heights they need as they see there are actually multiple Aeropolises now. Riker shows them a warp gate network connecting the Aeropolises, and crossing the land in the sky, they fight bizarre monsters of the past only to find the warp gate to Dycroft destroyed in an intentional manner. In response, Riker says there is a sky cruiser they can find and use instead, which is more of a short distance airship. Approaching the sky cruiser, they are surprised to run into Eileen's father and Oberon executive Shane standing beside Marion and acting unusual. Marion tries to warn them, but Shane strikes at them with a powerful lens machine, swearing his loyalty to Hugo. The group defeats him inside a deadly mech as he blows up, and they save Marion but give her the bad news that Leon is dead. Marion is sad to hear this, explaining Hugo only hired her because she strongly resembled his late wife, and Leon loved her as a shadow of his mother. Boarding the sky cruiser, they travel to Dycroft, but another Draconis, more powerful than their own, attacks them mid-air, forcing them away as they observe a barrier shielding Dycroft anyway. Returning to Riker, he explains the Guardian Draconis can be dealt with, as well as the barrier if they restore Ictinos. Along the way, they are intercepted by Eileen, who offers them the chance to join Hugo instead of fighting, adding she believes in his plan to build a new world. Though they strike her down in battle, she tells them people's hearts around the world are too full of negativity, and if fixing it means starting over, she would rather do that. Ston says it's cynical to think so, especially if she herself is being negative, but clearly cares enough about people, suggesting they work together to change things. However, Eileen rejects his sentiments while appreciating his optimistic hope, opening a hatch and throwing herself off the edge. As Ston grieves for her, Gar repairs Ictinos with the facilities here, who remarks that if the Etherians had this level of technology, then they were close to making Swordians of their own. Meanwhile, Ruti talks to Ston, reminding him of why he fights, but he corrects her, saying he fights not to save the world, but for the people who are important to him. Gar returns with Ictinos' device to disable the barrier, and the group moves to confront the Guardian Draconis. However, standing in their way now is Baruch, who says he doesn't wish to fight the party either and just follows his heart, which is why he used to provide relief to disasters and orphanages, but now thinks the best medicine for a diseased society is something drastic like what Hugo plans. Baruch mentions Hugo will transcend humanity using the Eye's powers, adding that the ends will justify the means. Gar tires of debating philosophy as the group strikes down Baruch, and Gar initiates the Guardian Draconis' self-destruct sequence in the nearby control panel, blowing up their last obstacle. Taking the sky cruiser to Dycroft, they destroy its barriers and navigate up its maze-like interior to confront Hugo at the top. He confirms to Ruti he is her father, offering to rule his new world together with her, but she flatly denies him. To the Swordians, he shocks them by presenting one of his own, once thought lost, named Berselius, as he challenges all of them for the fate of the world. Clashing with the Oberon president wielding the strongest Swordian, the group edges out a win as Hugo falls, dropping Berselius and speaking differently. Calling out to Ruti, he apologizes and tells his daughter Berselius enslaved his mind and used him for his own ends, revealing he abandoned her in order to protect her from Berselius' mind control. Dying, he wishes to see her face with his own eyes one last time, apologizing again before passing on. Ston comforts her, but they are interrupted by a man who appears before them, announcing himself as King of the Etherians, Kronos. As it turns out, both he and Bracelius did die in the last war, but Kronos managed to put his soul into Bracelius' weapon vessel, cheating death. He brags about controlling Hugo before showing off his ability to evolve Bracelius even further into a more powerful form. With a single attack, he takes down the party, allowing them to live long enough to witness the end of their world. With one more powerful shot, Belkrant fires and dislodges enough of the surface to complete an entire new shell around the planet, entombing the world in darkness. Succeeding in his mission, Kronos leaves Belkrant, ejecting the weapon and letting it drop below to sink into the sea with the group on board. By sheer luck, Fate happens to be at sea nearby to find and rescue the group as they travel back to the King of Seingald and update him on the situation. Unfortunately, they learn from him they lost control of Radisrol, the anti-grav elevator has stopped working, and there has been no word from Riker, though the assistant has been found critically injured. With no way to return to Kronos, they see new monsters now roam the land and endlessly regenerate as Ston passes by familiar famous warriors who test Ston's gaming trivia knowledge. When Riker's assistant recovers, he provides the group with his plan to build a lens cannon capable of punching through the shell around their world called the Ethersphere. As it turns out, this weapon was originally developed as the Earther's last hope, but it is only a means to an end as the group is told things won't end until Kronos is defeated. To this effect, the plan is to repair the Draconis and take the Swordians to a special research lab to be upgraded. Finding the unearthed R&D lab, they find the reactor that actually created the Swordians, reforging them into weapons that can stand toe-to-toe with Kronos now. Heading to Junkland next, they find the raw material they need and the Draconis is repaired in no time. Getting the last parts to finish the lens cannon, the group rests before they embark on the final battle. An anxious Ruti cannot sleep as she chats with Philia about Ston, and while Philia only has nice things to say about him, she also tells Ruti to be more honest with herself. Ruti steps outside while Ston checks in, and though Clemente tells Philia she should take her own advice, the priestess says this is how things should be, directing Ston to Ruti. The next day, the group stands by for the lens cannon as it shoots its beam skyward, but somehow the energy is absorbed instead. Suddenly, they hear the voice of Riker telling them the cannon cannot destroy the Ethersphere, confirming it is an absorption field. Explaining, he reveals their enemy's goal is to build a utopia on the Ethersphere, but this takes a lot of energy, and so the absorption field around it will drain this world's life force to feed theirs. The absorption has already started, and it's only a matter of time before their world is drained completely of all life. Fortunately, there is one gap in the absorption field, Radisrol itself, and Riker tells the group to shoot him and the ship. Reluctantly, Ston complies as the cannon rips through the Radisrol, giving the group the entry point they need to fly the Draconis back to Dycroft. Making their way through the enhanced security and traps, including mirror fights against themselves, they find a curious room full of people and tanks. Though they appear dead, the Swordians explain they are actually being revived with the life force being absorbed from the surface. The group thinks to destroy it all, just as Kronos appears before them, urging them to stop. Instead, he invites them to battle before the Eye to resolve everything, adding that the people being revived are Etherians who will be his subjects. He surprises them by bringing in Leon, somehow moving, but Kronos assures him Leon is still dead and this is just his reanimated body being controlled like a puppet. Yet, Leon gurgles out a wish to be killed as he is ordered to fight the group and his friends somberly grant his wish to rest in peace. Outraged at being forced to desecrate their friend, the group confronts Kronos again, but as they fight, the energy from the Eye flows into the Etherian King. Kronos ascends into a monstrous new form as Ston, Ruti, Philia, Gar, Chelsea, Carol, Kang, and the memory of Mary finish the war started 1,000 years ago. As he falls, Kronos swears to take them all down with him as Dycroft collapses and debris demolishes the cities and towns below. Dimlos urges them to destroy the Ethersphere now by driving them into the Eye, saying their core crystals are the same lens material as the Eye and they can create a shockwave that will resonate and destroy the weapon. Of course, doing so will cause a chain reaction that will destroy the Swordians too, as they each bid farewell to their partners, thank them for the time together, and sacrifice themselves to save the world. The group hurries out as the Swordians say their last words to each other, as the Ethersphere shatters and is destroyed. As the game ends, a year passes as the group meets together for a reunion at Ston's home while the world is still rebuilding. While their thoughts still linger on the Swordians that saved them, they would still not know the full story of their saviors, as that would be a tale for another time. Tales of Destiny has enjoyed the success of selling over 1.6 million copies worldwide.